Hey guys, Scott and Nate from Play Your Court, and today, if you can take your attention off of Nate's bright blue shirt, we're going to talk about a mistake you might be making on your backhand.
I'm sorry we're not all filmed in black and white in shades of gray, Scott.
All right guys, today Nate and I are going to show you a really common mistake we see that causes you to miss a lot of backhands. This video is for players with a Play Your Court rating of 50 to 80. If you're not in our community or familiar with our rating system, this is the equivalent of about a USTA 3.0 up to a 4.5. So Blueberry, talk to me here. What are we diving in on?
All right guys, so what we're talking about today is controlling the side, specifically the non-dominant side.
That's got to be your backhand, right?
That's the backhand, right? Because, I mean, I'm a righty, so the lefty. And what we're talking about here is a lot of you out there, when you're hitting your backhand, you're not controlling the side, specifically the shoulder of your hitting arm. So what's happening is that you're opening up really early, and then you're just dragging the racket through contact. And you can see that I'm really tight, got the T-Rex arms.
Yeah, jammed up.
Pretty jammed up, man. And so the follow-through becomes almost impossible. I end up here yanking the shoulder, and we start seeing us getting over the ball. A common mistake, and we've all been guilty at every single level. And we're gonna show you a drill that actually helps. But let's talk about what that drill is for a minute.
For sure.
It's gonna be simple, right? So like a lot of you are unaware what you're doing with your shoulder. You swear to yourself you're keeping it under the chin. We know that this shoulder needs to stay under the chin when we hit, but what a lot of you aren't aware is how quickly it opens. So the quick fix is just aim down the line. All right, take some reps and go down the line. It's a harder shot. A lot of us don't prefer the down the line backhand. But as far as drilling and practicing, is one of the best ways to make sure we're controlling this shoulder, because it's a lot more natural to swing out to the target and controlling this shoulder. The cool thing is the subtle difference of going down the line and cross court is not a whole lot. The down the line ball that squares up to it, that controls the shoulder, should only change by a fraction, maybe an inch or two for the cross court, and then we're still controlling that side.
This is where a lot of my students definitely get confused, because they see such a variety because of so much open stance action on the forehand side. They think, oh, you know, my feet and shoulders and everything should look substantially different if I'm hitting to one side of the court versus the other, and that's just not, it's not the case.
No, and it's, I think the open, let's call it the semi-open. The open stance forehand would suggest something like that, right? But the semi-open, where we're staggered, it happened because of the evolution of the game. The game happened really, really fast, right? Like, or the game just got really, really fast in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, there's no time for those extra steps. You had to just fall back into open stance
to
deal with the power, right?
And that's fine for the forehand. You can be a little bit more open on your forehand. On the backhand, kind of the classic way of hitting it is still king. Yes, can you hit an open stance backhand? But that should always be a very defensive on the outer third part of the court, or a return a serve.
Even at the highest level, there's so few players that do this well. Open stance backhand is a very hard shot to hit. I mean, we know Serena Williams, Novak. There's plenty of players inside the top 15 that don't have a great open stance backhand. So when we talk to you guys as rec players, we're not really going to recommend this unless this is something you just fall into super naturally.
All right, guys, so what are the mistakes that we want you to focus on? The first thing that we want you to focus on is closing this stance, okay? Not allowing this hip to stay open unless you absolutely have to. Someone's hitting significant pace or pulling you really, really out wide. So a return a serve or defensive backhand. But closing the stance, ensuring that the shoulder is under the chin, and then keeping or holding the side, my non-dominant side, by swinging out to the target for down the line and then allowing it to come up. All right, so the easiest way to feel this, as we said, is going to be to practice your down the line backhand, and then the variation will just be getting contact a little bit more out in front, and that's going to get the cross court. So if you're wondering if it's you out there that's suffering this mistake, if you're hooking the ball wide on the backhand, if you're pulling it into the net, this is probably the mistake that's causing it.
I see coaches make this mistake too when they're coaching the backhand. They say, hey, step towards your target. And that's true to some degree, but like to a very minute degree. You're not going to take a full 45-degree step you know, towards down the line and then alter it another 45 degrees in the other direction to hit cross court.
Right.
When we as coaches watch, we shouldn't even really be able to tell if you're doing this correctly, whether you're going to hit down the line or cross court until moments before contact, maybe even at contact.
That is why when you do this right, it is so effective. Why does Djokovic have the best backhand in the world?
Disguise.
You have no idea if he's going cross court or down the line because they look exactly the same.
Right.
All right, let's hit some. So we're going to show you now. We're going to show you just some drilling. What we're going to do is just, if you watch Scott here hitting the backhand, his down the line backhand is going to look almost the
substantially
same.
better than Nate's.
Not true. I'll be hitting a forehand.
There you go.
Yeah, geometry wizard. If we're hitting down the line. But you're going to see that his down the line backhand looks identical, his cross court, with just a little difference in the contact.
Take a look. All right, guys, so I'm going to show you a couple of backhands here. What I want you to pay really close attention to is how long I stay closed. I'm going to be thinking actively about trying to keep my chin over my shoulder for as long as possible. And I wanted to spell a quick myth that you might have heard from other coaches too. A lot of coaches will tell you when you hit the ball late on your backhand side, it's because of your footwork and that you haven't set up correctly to the ball. What Nate and I just spoke about is actually commonly the cause for you catching the ball late and missing it wide. And what this is your chin comes away from your shoulder, or your shoulders open up too quickly, and instead of making contact out in front, you catch that ball back here. So the adjustment now is I'm going to keep my chin over my shoulder for longer, extend out, make contact out in front. So now even though I've put the ball in the same spot with my feet, the contact point is out in front and I don't spray the ball wide. Let's take a quick look at what these look like as I hit some down the line, and then eventually I'll shift across court so you can see that there's really very little difference in the setup stance. Let's take a look. All right, so we're gonna show you first the incorrect way, where one of two things can happen. When my hips and shoulders open too early, I can make contact late and spray the ball wide, or my hips and shoulders can open too early and my contact, and that's obviously exaggerated, but my contact can happen way too far out in front where I spray the ball too wide cross court. So now let's take a look at the adjustment. The focus again is I'm going to take my chin and leave it over my shoulder for as long as I can. Focus on that contact and that reaching out in front of my right hip. And you're going to see me drive the ball down the line. Then we'll do another example where I hit the ball cross court, and what you're going to see is just a very small change where just my front foot ever so slightly moves a little more cross court, and my racket face ever so slightly moves a little bit further in front of my right hip. Let's take a look. So first, let's take a look at down the line. Now cross court. Well, you'll see very, very small adjustment to hit down the line versus cross court. Down the line and cross court. All right, guys, so hopefully as you saw there, when I'm hitting cross court versus down the line, the difference is pretty subtle. And I'll tell you this is important, especially when I play my blueberry buddy Nate here, is disguising this ball and your opponent's not being able to tell what you're going to do with this backhand.
I know what you're doing with the
some
backhand.
Problems, right? Particularly for you.
Disagree.
In your blue shirt.
Disagree.
No? Okay. All right, bring us home here. Obviously, the big points, I think, are just the stance doesn't change as much as you think that it might. Make sure you're not getting these T-Rex arms. And we talk about this in other capacities where when you get nervous on your backhand, you start to grip your racket too tight. We already know this is bad, so we don't want to open our shoulders too early and just create something we already know is incorrect.
Yeah, just relax here, guys. The theme here is control the side, relax the arms, and make sure this shoulder is under the chin. Some of you are going to work on this and it's still going to feel tough. And if this doesn't quite bring it home, just remember, like, your head should not move. Notice that my left shoulder has now replaced the right shoulder, and that's going to help you control the side here. So the little drill that we were telling you earlier that we suggest you work on if you're having a hard time with your backhand is rally with a partner, and for every 3 balls you hit down the line, take one cross court, right? So your partner's hitting forehands down the line to your backhand. You're going to hit that 3 times, and then you're going to pull across court. And it's just going to be this subtle difference. You're going to start noticing that it's almost the same exact stroke, just a little deviation in contact.
Yeah, I think we all practice cross court so much that we think much differently when we get into this cross court rally over and over and over again. The secret to this drill really is starting off hitting down the line and then throwing that cross-court ball in there and realizing, oh, wait a second, I don't need to make this huge adjustment.
Yeah, totally agree.
Very cool. Well, guys, I hope this instruction helped. As you guys know, here at Play Your Court, Nate and I just want to see you improve your game. Obviously, the instruction we gave today is for a very specific skill level, and we don't know a ton about you. So do us a favor, click the button or the link below and let us know what your specific skill level is. We'll then send you some custom video coaching based on the things that you actually need to be working on. Just click the button or the link, and Nate and I will do the rest.